So, I assume you guys come to a lot of gun shows. Why are you here today?
Well, we're here doing what we do. We're a gun rights advocacy organization, and we come to these shows to give people news on what's going on in the gun rights scene in Maine, legislation that they should be interested in, opportunities, threats, and of course to raise funds to carry out our mission, raffle firearms, take memberships, etc.
So, talk to me a little bit, maybe about what you call it, the State of the Union address.
Well, I can't say that I actually watched the State of the Union address. I, of course, have read the content of it. State of the Union, as I understand it, didn't actually contain much on the subject of guns, interestingly, considering the President had just days before announced a number of executive actions on the subject of guns. A curious omission.
Okay, and where do you kind of stand with what he's saying and what he's trying to progress in this country?
With respect to the executive actions that he recently announced?
Yeah.
Well, of course, we were expecting this for some time and had been waiting since it had been telegraphed long in advance, and there was a lot of speculation on what he would announce. We were actually quite underwhelmed by what he announced. His actions were extremely unique, although they appear to be something that's new. In fact, he didn't do anything that's new. The largest thing that he mentioned was licensure for gun dealers has actually been the law since 1968. He hasn't changed anything. All he's done is to frame the current law as if something new has happened, and it hasn't.
So there hasn't been a lot of progression in the country in terms of gun laws, would you say?
Oh, there's been a tremendous amount of progression in the country in gun laws. There's, by some counts, over 20,000 gun laws in this country, none of which have done much to solve the problems that they purport to do, problems of violence. I think we have enough gun laws to pretty conclusively prove that they don't address that problem.
Okay, so lots of laws, but not a lot of tangible things happening from them, would you say?
Well, I think we're addressing the wrong problem. Guns are not the cause of violence. They're a tool that's used by violent people, and trying to control the implement isn't going to stop bad people from doing bad things. And for that matter, placing laws on the books that, for instance, require background checks for people to buy a firearm only affect the kind of good people that you see here at the gun show today. They don't affect criminals, because criminals are not stupid, and they don't take background checks if they know that they'll fail. They obtain guns by sending a friend or girlfriend who has a clean record to buy a gun for them, or they buy a gun off the street, or they steal a gun, but they do not go through background checks.
Yeah, and that seems to be the rhetoric of people who are talking today. It's more about maybe mental health than it is.
But it's not rhetoric. This comes directly from ATF's own statistics on the source of crime guns. Crime guns do not come from places like gun shows. They do not come from places like private sales. Criminals find other ways around the law because they're, criminals.
No, I find that very fascinating. Anything else you'd like to share? I know we only touch a couple of things here and there, but anything you feel strongly about right now, present day, that you could share with me?
All sorts of things.
I know I'm being vague, but in terms of maybe gun shows and the so-called loophole fantasy, I guess you could say?
Well, yeah, the so-called gun show loophole is the idea that people can come to a gun show like this and buy a gun without a background check. And that is basically untrue. Every firearms dealer must do background checks on every sale they do. Just because it happens at a gun show doesn't make it any different. And in fact, this is precisely what the President said in his announcement of his executive actions. But it doesn't matter whether you sell a gun, you're still subject to the law. And every gun dealer here knows that. If any gun dealer here sold a gun without a background check, he'd lose his license and go to federal prison. It doesn't happen. There is no loophole.
Fair enough. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think that was great.